Or my router's down anyway.
Twitch. I'm up, so
That's good.
for now. We're back live.
Cool.
Just got the email, so.
Cool.
All right, well, Periscope's not going to go live. That's fine. All right, sorry, everyone. Our internet router took a dump on us. I'm going to have to pull the logs, see what happened there. So you still don't have Skype. So let me get... I'm going to reboot the machine.
Okay. I'm going to close the software.
Do you have connection to the other machine?
Yes, I did.
Do you want to dial him in on that one just so we can get going? Sorry, Internet, we need a moment to... A network outage is a... You know what's really funny is I was just looking at something called Link from Teradek that would allow me to bond multiple connections in case one failed, because I was like, oh, this camera's a bit tight. Detta, when you get a moment, I'd like to zoom out of this just a little bit. We can probably show a little bit of Carrie Ann. It's all right. All right.
I'm in the chat room, but nothing's been coming through. So
I still can't connect to the chat room.
I'm back in chat.
I'm not getting any data from chat. So
Skype is reinitializing. You can tell because of the way it is.
Something security certificate for this site is not available. Do you want to proceed?
Which site?
I imagine chat. Oh no, Skype. Interesting.
I think that's all right. Okay, so for Everyday Astronaut, awesome, thank you for joining, but because we weren't able to bring you in the pre-show, we didn't do tech chess, and with the bandwidth issues, I'm not gonna try to bring on more bandwidth load at this point. So enjoy the show, and we'll bring you on for the next roundtable, I think. Also, what I'd want to do is have another screen over here, so we have like all you guys, and probably rotate them on their side. We do a bunch of other stuff that none of which is tested.
Wow, I really can't get into chat.
Hold down Shift. Did you close it completely?
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna close chat completely too. I'm not getting any data coming through on it. So all right, let's try
That's
this.
interesting because I'm in on it.
You're in this?
Yeah, I am. I'm on the beta client. Go ahead and try the regular chat.
Now I have Google trying to connect.
What wireless network are you connected to? Seems like you're not on the network. Turn Wi-Fi off and then turn it back on again. Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? You may have joined the router like before it was ready to dish out proper DHCP.
I was the last person to on.
Really?
Yeah.
See if we can get Space Mike back in.
Oh, yep, I'm back.
That looks healthier.
Whoa.
Hey, Space Mike, sorry the studio took an internet connection, took a dump. It was all us.
Figured.
Hey, Detta, when you get a moment, I want to zoom out of camera, what is this, 1? Ever so slightly. I'm a little bit all up in their face, I think.
Story of my life.
Thanks, Marty the Martian.
North Korean DDoS attack, of course. It's because I mentioned them. Sorry, guys.
Let's get you.
Right,
we've got a breaking moment here, so let's
now.
get you working.
You moved.
Probably.
Quit moving.
He doesn't know how to.
Jiggle your feet or something.
He does that too.
That looks better, I think. I like that quite a bit. And then I'll probably turn like this to them. Yeah, that's a good. I like it. Makes me happy. And then Jared's. Let's fix Jared's camera as well.
Can you fix my camera, please?
You want this camera just on here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Still,
I mean, let's get as many.
I can move
Decent.
over left a little bit.
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
I hate this head.
Oh yeah, that's an awful tripod. I'm sorry.
Tripod's fine. Head's stupid.
Do you want a tripod with a good head on it?
Do you have one?
Yeah, I have a Bogan with a, what was it, a Manfrotto 509 head on it.
Seems like a bit overkill for these, but
It's definitely overkill, but it's a tripod. So
do you not use it?
No.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not using it, I'll put it to good use. Put it on that camera, actually.
sure, I'll bring it next week. I used to use it a lot, like a decade ago.
All right, let me know. Stoge is liking the progress on the beard. This is about 3.5 years worth of work. I have to think about every single little hair follicle.
No, you're
Sounds
stuck.
like me when I'm doing my hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in host. Are you in host?
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Meanwhile, I shaved yesterday. I still look like a Wookiee.
I hate you so much. You're just showing off now.
Yeah.
Although, as I said, it sounds like a lot of work, like that you have to go through. So I guess I'm not that jealous.
Yeah,
because-
it kind of sucks.
Yeah. And I desperately need a haircut or something that.
Okay.
It's
Next
so-
week.
How's your chat, Dada?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So you're happy. You've got everything you need, correct? Like
Yeah, I believe so.
you're back up and running. Can you do me one favor? Since it was a network outage, can you double check Dante audio, make sure that we didn't lose all of that? Since it was a router, I doubt it, but I just want to be sure. Roll anything with sound.
Something we've seen. That one.
Perfect. That's good. Thanks.
And we are still recording.
Yeah, we're still recording. Yeah, that's not network connected.
Yes, there is a UPS on the router for those who are asking, and that's not the problem.
Yeah, I know. We've got some layers of redundancy, but the network is a single point of failure. Like I said, I have a plan, but I didn't think I needed to implement it this fast. On that note, let's go ahead and get started. Let me make sure that I've got all my notes here. All right.
All right. Fade to black. Let's do it.
And welcome back to Tomorrow. Now it's my turn to run the show. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham, and before we get started with our round...
Do you think the router went out because it realized you were coming back?
Yes.
A lot of switches and stuff.
And welcome back to Tomorrow. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. Now, before we get started with this segment of the show, the roundtable about the Space Launch System, huge shout out and thank you to our patrons of Tomorrow who've helped to make this specific segment of this episode happen. As Carrie Ann mentioned at the top of the show, there are new reward levels for Escape Velocity, actually for every single level. So these are our Escape Velocity patrons. We've also got our Orbital patrons, and their new reward level is show topic voting rights. So they're going to be able to vote on future roundtable discussions. To find out all those new rewards and how you can help the shows of Tomorrow, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. And a little bit of housekeeping before we get into our SLS discussion. We're trying to make smaller goals for the show to kind of do some really cool things. And we do have a fairly aggressive but small goal of reaching 15,000 subscribers on YouTube before the end of July. Legit. Now,
Legit subscribers.
We're
I'm very clear about
we're not
that.
looking for bots. We're not looking for
No bots.
Right. So we're very close to 15,000, and if we hit 15,000 subscribers, I will go to Teespring and start making shirts, like just general Tomorrow Space branded shirts for the show. Once we hit 20,000 subscribers, we will. You know how we keep saying, "Oh, that's the shirt for the show."
Right.
That's what we'll start bringing out on Teespring. So you'll actually have show-specific shirts at 20,000 subscribers. But for now, 15,000. If we get to 15,000 by the end of July, you'll finally be able to grab those Tomorrow shirts. So that's our goal there.
Yep.
All right, our main topic this week, and I know everyone is super stoked and excited. I'm like, the community tomorrow is excited. We're also excited. Is the Space Launch System, and the reason we're all excited is it is kind of whether you love it or hate it, is an exciting rocket. We've got a really quick video preview, kind of showing off for those who don't know what the Space Launch System is, just kind of visually.
And it doesn't look like us.
Skeleton go for post sequence 4.
Copy that. And Jeremy, SOTC, start your display recorder, please.
Skeleton go for LH2 pressurization.
First investigation. Third is complete. Copy all. Also check if the change is armed.
Now that is pretty cool. Just as
Every
a
time I
space
see
nerd.
it, though, I go, well, where's the shuttle?
Well, and that's the thing. Space Launch System is a shuttle-derived program. So just a few little technical specs about Space Launch System for those who don't know. There are 3 planned versions, and that's not entirely true. There are actually kind of like slight variations inside of that. 3 planned versions of the Space Launch System. The one that's coming up first is going to be known as simply Block 1. And Block 1 has 70, and I'm going to use all the same metrics for everything, which is payload to low Earth orbit. So Block 1 is 70 metric tons to low Earth orbit. Then we've got Block 1B, which is 105 metric tons to low Earth orbit, and that includes a new exploration upper stage, which is what allows us to have some more of that performance. And then we've got a Block 2, that's kind of the one that the hardcore space nerds really want to see, because that will just simply be the most powerful rocket humans have ever built, and that is 130 metric tons to low Earth orbit, and that includes not only the exploration upper stage, but also the new advanced solid rocket boosters that basically bring it up to 130 metric tons to low Earth orbit. Now, to give you some context as to like how much that is, because these are very big numbers, it's kind of hard to understand. Let's talk about what we can do today. Right, so Falcon 9 full thrust, which is what the current rocket that SpaceX is flying, is 22.8 metric tons to low Earth orbit. So as compared to the 70 metric tons of Block 1. Sure. The Falcon Heavy, which will be launching sometime, I believe Elon said at the end of this year, is 63.8 metric tons to low Earth orbit. So very close to the Space Launch System, but not quite there. And then we've also got the New Glenn rocket by Blue Origin, and that is slated for 45 metric tons to low Earth orbit. So no matter who you're comparing this to, with the exception of some of the even more future rockets out there, no matter what like imminent rocket we're comparing this to, Block 1 Space Launch System will be the most powerful rocket on the face of the planet today. That's where we're at. Now, one would expect that as space nerds, we would all be excited about Block 1 and the Space Launch System in general, but it's never quite that easy, is it?
No.
So, like, just general initial opinions on the Space Launch System. Jared, we'll start with you because you're right there.
Why? Oh boy. I guess one of the things I said before the show that you said I should definitely say during the show is that
no revealing my secrets, Jared.
Space Launch System. Somebody's got to keep building expendable rockets. So that's the way I feel. One of the ways I feel about it is that for the especially for the planetary sciences and missions like that, it's going to be a fantastic rocket. But for everything else, it's really it's kind of tough for me to justify using it for anything else other than that. And then even
but
just...
wait, why? Right?
Because it's so expensive.
Yeah, but it's expensive for the planetary missions too?
It is. And that's why even I kind of cringe a little bit thinking about using it for planetary missions as well. Because if something a lot cheaper, which it seems like there is going to be with something in Falcon Heavy, is going to be able to give you a nearly equivalent throw weight to somewhere like Europa with a Europa Clipper mission, then it becomes very, very difficult to justify using a very expensive rocket in order to do that when you have a significantly cheaper option to do that. So, yeah, there's certain things I like about Space Launch System. It's definitely going to enable some of those missions that the Decadal Survey talked about. So every 10 years, all of us scientists get together and we basically dream up a wish list. And near the top of that wish list was a Uranus or Neptune orbiter. And really, Space Launch System would be king to launching something like that to those planets in a reasonable amount of time. But really, for anywhere else, any other mission, any other destination, it's significantly more expensive than the potential other options that you could use.
Now, as you said, it would be expensive and you would cringe, but Space Vogel has a pretty decent question in the chat room, which is, why will it be fantastic for science missions? So it's really expensive. It's stupidly expensive to build and to fly. And I think that's most people's gripe. So what's the advantage of science missions? Why spend that extra money?
So one of the things is that in a science mission, the longer you're operating for, the more your operational costs are.
Sure.
So Europa Clipper was baseline launching on an Atlas 5 in the 551 configuration. And even with that beefy of a rocket,
That's a 5 meter fairing.
5 meter fairing, 5 solid rocket,
and then
motors,
one upper stage engine.
Yeah, and even with a beefy rocket, as you know, the hot rod equivalent of a rocket was something like that. You still would have to fly a gravitational assist sequence of going to Venus, flying by Earth, and then doing a second gravitational assist with the Earth, and that can give you a transit time from launch to arrival at Europa of 5 to 7 years, depending upon the trajectory that you use. Something like Space Launch System gives you the ability to do what we call direct ascent. So we literally just throw the thing directly at Jupiter and get it there within about 24 months. So instead of having to spend a 5 to 7 year journey getting to Europa, we could do it in about 2 years with Space Launch System.
It costs about $1 billion per Space Launch System launch.
Yeah.
And we'll say that it's. Anyone know what's Falcon Heavy's price? Mike, do you know? Anyone know?
I don't know. I've heard it estimated that it's supposed to be somewhere between 150 to 250 to start off, but I mean, I haven't heard exact prices. That was like early estimates back in the day. Have there been any updates?
I don't know. So let's assume 250. So that's 1/4 the price. Are you going to be able to make up that difference? Over those 6 to 7 years, because there is,
Yes.
we'll call that 6 to 7 years of people working on this spacecraft and doing tests. And
Yeah, there's also
gravity
things
assist.
you have to think about too, because if you're sending your spacecraft in towards Venus to get a gravitational assist with it, you have to put extra thermal control on it in order to handle that. That adds weight. That means you have to reduce the amount of scientific payload you can have on board of your spacecraft. So utilizing SLS may reduce the weight and then get an overall more scientific bang for the American taxpayers' buck out of that, simply because of things like we don't have to add on extra thermal blankets, we don't have to add on an extra radiative system to dump heat out of the spacecraft. So you know, there are advantages with it, but also those are really expensive rockets. So and from my engineering knowledge that I have, very limited engineering knowledge that I have, it's probably not cheaper to do a Space Launch System option, simply because of the cost of the launch vehicle is going to significantly outweigh the cost of extended operations and any additional weight that you may have to add on to Europa Clipper. So from that perspective, it does not particularly enable a cheaper mission, if you will. That's why I say, you know, pretty much Uranus or out, it will. But anything in from Saturn in is no, it's not. So
Space Mike. Hologram.
Interesting.
What do you think of the Space Launch System? What's your initial impression of the program?
Well, the origins of the idea were definitely something that I felt were really cool, because the whole idea was, let's reuse all of this technology that we already have and been using for the space shuttle, and we'll just need to make a couple of adjustments, and we have all this inventory of stuff. I mean, they're going to use, I believe it's somewhere like 9 to 12 engines of the space shuttle main engines, the SSMEs, for the Space Launch System. They're going to use those remaining engines before they move over to the new ones that are being built that are the expendable version of those engines. And great idea, but I mean, originally when it was the Ares 5, it was going to actually use RS-68s, which are the engines that are used to power the Delta IV and the Delta IV Heavy. So the whole concept sounds great. It sounds great to reuse all this stuff, and it should potentially be cheaper, right? Well, as the years have gone on, we've already spent a ridiculous amount of money on this program. You know, while it was still in the Ares 5 version, and even as the Space Launch System, so much money has gone into it. And it just seems like, okay, well, the whole rationale for doing this was it was supposed to be cheaper because we could reuse all the stuff that we already have experience building. We already have factories that can, you know, churn the stuff out at a pretty reasonable rate. And it just seems like it turns more and more and more into a jobs program, and things happen to slow it down, and the whole contract of how this rocket is being contracted out, because a lot of people keep confusing the idea that NASA is building this. NASA is not building this. They do have facilities where they're doing a lot of testing for it, but they're contracting out all of the work to actually build the rocket itself. And that's we'll get to this a little bit later, because there was a really great comment from last week that kind of speaks to this, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But NASA is really good about having that relationship between the contractors and then the facilities that they have to put this hardware through the most rigorous conditions they possibly can to push it to the limits to know, especially for a rocket that's going to be sending humans up, that it can be as safe as possible. But the cost, I feel, is what has the Space Launch System and the entire program have so many detractors, because it's costing so much money. And just a portion of that money, if it was put into other programs, like if we just took the Space Launch System budget for just this year or next year and put that all towards the Commercial Crew program, we'd catch up and have, I mean, it'd still take time, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, I mean,
having the appropriate funding levels that the program should have had from the beginning would be able to have the safest vehicles that we hopefully could have.
Yeah, so you talked about the engines a little bit, and Badger Legs asks how much work has been done on the expendable Space Shuttle main engines.
Oh, God, so much. So much work has been done on it. I mean, we've fired expendable. Well, first off, we've had to do a bunch of engine tests on the ones that are the reusable type that are left over from the shuttle program. So we've done a ton of engine tests, static fire tests, firing those engines. And then there's actually been a lot of work, and I actually like the work that's been done for the expendable version, because they're replacing a lot of parts with 3D printed parts. They've redesigned a lot of the plumbing to simplify it and make it work better. And so the expendable versions will be cheaper to produce, and Aerojet Rocketdyne is the primary contractor for those engines. It will be cheaper for them to produce the expendable versions of the SSMEs for the Space Launch System. And as far as I know, they've been doing different tests of like the injector for it, but as far as I know, there hasn't been a full-up test of the expendable version. But we're having 30 tests and counting of the reusable version just to make sure it'll still work. So who knows how many, and I believe that was 30 and counting out of 5 tests that were originally scheduled, so who knows how many more tests are going to be needed.
And you talked.
And that's what I mean about the program spiraling out of control. That's another example of that.
You talked a little bit about prices, and you know this is coming up a little bit in the chat room as well. I believe up until through the end of 2017, the projected development cost of Space Launch System is $18 billion. That's
as Space Launch System, not counting the Ares 5 money.
That's $10 billion for the Space Launch System rocket. That's $6 billion for the Orion multi-purpose crew vehicle. And that's $2 billion for upgrades to the launch pad and other facilities at the Kennedy Space Center. So that's not an insignificant amount there. And actually, Dutta brings up another interesting point, which is I don't understand what's needed to be done to fully functional Space Shuttle main engines that were good enough to run the shuttle program to make them good enough to use in Space Launch System. Why? Well, I mean that's because it is a different vehicle, right? It's not the Space Shuttle. So the pressures on top of them and how all of that fuel is flowing is in fact different now.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say the thermal environment is different in there too. You've got four main engines and 2 solids in the same area, and that's a lot of heat being generated around there. So I mean, originally they were going to have 5 engines on the bottom of Space Launch System, but they ditched one of them because the 5 was going to generate too much thermal energy in that area. So they had to step down to 4.
Carrie-Ann, your views.
And whereas before the SSMEs were kind of shooting at an angle, and now they're going to be shooting straight down. They'll still be able to gimbal, but it's slightly different.
Yeah, you can't. It's the same problem as the Atlas V. You can't just drop a new engine on a rocket. That's not how that works.
Yeah,
so
it's not Lego. It's not
Lego.
It's not Kerbal Space Program.
Which is part of the gripe, I think, with the space industry of saying requiring the NASA engineers to use legacy shuttle stuff. That's one of the requirements for Space Launch System is they have to use those legacy shuttle infrastructure, be it the main engines or the booster, the idea to keep it less expensive, but that actually drives costs up, not down. When you can start with a clean sheet rocket, yeah, it's harder up front, but now you can use modern manufacturing techniques, which Space Launch System does a little bit of, I mean, to be fair, right? They've got some stir welding going on, they've got some 3D printing going on, but not to the extent of any of the other commercial rockets that are out there, even flying right now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the new rockets are already more advanced in many regards from a manufacturing standpoint than Space Launch System. Carrie-Ann, your opinions on
I don't have opinions.
Yes, you do.
No, I really don't. I don't care. There's nothing about this rocket interests me. I don't care. As other people said in the chat room, is it even going anywhere? Does it have a purpose? Does it have a mission? It depends on the day. Yes, sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's going to Mars. Sometimes it's going beyond. I don't care. There's nothing about this that is new and interesting and exciting to me. Great, it's the biggest one we've ever done. Why? I don't know. I don't care then. I find it very, very difficult to be excited or interested in this particular rocket. I don't know. I'm sure that's a really, really unpopular opinion because I'm not fully on the this is going to be really exciting or like this is the biggest piece of crap ever. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care either way. Normally I would apologize for that, but I'm really not going to apologize for it. There's just nothing that makes me remotely passionate or extremely dispassionate about this particular rocket. However, our viewers had a lot of things to say, if you don't mind me going through some of those things.
Well, before you do, Tarantula in the chat room also asks, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, is the Space Launch System the rocket to nowhere?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just...
It was for the past, 15 years?
Yeah, I don't...
No, that's not really a good estimate. It has been for pretty much the past 6 years, 7 years. It has pretty much just been the rocket to nowhere,
which is really frustrating.
I mean, it's
on so many different levels.
It's been advertised as a critical essential to NASA's hashtag Journey to Mars, but with
every time someone asks how or why,
it took until just a couple weeks ago for NASA to finally admit that hashtag Journey to Mars isn't actually really hashtag Journey to Mars. So
it's like an empty threat more so than a battle cry in any way, shape, or form, which is really, really unfortunate. Astro YYZ in the chat room saying, so if Carrie Ann feels that way, imagine how the typical person on the street feels. Yeah, which is kind of sad all the way around. We didn't start off the show with me liking this industry. I said, look, as soon as we have nothing else to talk about, we'll stop this show because it's stupid.
She did.
I did legit. I mean, I fully own up to that. And
we rubbed off on you, though.
Don't touch me. But I have grown a passion for the industry as a whole, and I don't understand everything, obviously, and I'm not going to, right? I mean, that's why we have people who know more things than I do, and I'm still learning, and I freely admit that. But yeah, there's just nothing about this vehicle that I find even remotely interesting, other than how they think they're going to do that silly paint job. And I don't care.
I like the paint job.
It's fine. I still don't care about it either.
It's like a throwback to Rockwell.
It's kind of, it's nice. All right. As you mentioned, there were some comments from, right? That's not a silly paint job. That looks kind of cool.
It's like
I'm up an octave. So
what's his face from Moonraker? Why can't I think of the villain's name? It looks like the space shuttles that the villain in the James Bond movie Moonraker used. So.
All right. So we had some comment in addition to us having our own opinions, there were definitely opinions inside of every social media outlet.
Yeah, I want to make sure. So, I mean, because I don't have my own opinions, I might as well have and share yours. So from where do you want to start?
Let's start with T1. I think it's
sure. This name.
I don't know how to pronounce this name. Just skip over the name.
So sorry.
Yiglik Perfectious.
Yep, we're gonna go with that. From off of YouTube says NASA should be doing cutting edge tech, not routine Earth science, which is interesting because I'm interested to hear that somebody says that, because my opinion in general goes slightly against that. I actually appreciate, we've kind of hashed this one out a little bit. Personally, I don't know how much we've done on camera, talking about how, and even Mike kind of touched on this a little bit, everyone thinks that NASA's building this rocket. NASA isn't building this rocket. And in fact, I don't want NASA to build this rocket. I want NASA to do, kind of to a certain extent, I don't want them to build this rocket anyway, but I don't want them to have to build rockets. I want them to be able to focus on cutting edge tech. I want them to be able to push those boundaries and have, be able to farm out some of those funds to other companies, private companies, maybe other governmental areas, to be able to bring forth new technology and new ideas and different things like that. And I think that earth science and planetary science as a whole really, I think when we understand Earth and our planet and other planets and how they all differ and interact and all those sorts of things, I feel like we just have a better understanding of everything as a whole. I know Jared's agreeing to that, but I don't want NASA to. I prefer NASA to be a little bit more like the X Prize Foundation, I suppose. I prefer NASA to go, hey guys, we want to do a thing. How do you think we should best do it? Do you want some money to try and do it? Great. That's what I would prefer if it was me. So I think it's interesting how this commenter is like, no, don't be doing cutting edge
I
tech.
do want to clear something up really quick, though. We're saying that, and then Jared, I'll hit you.
Sure.
We're saying that NASA's not building this rocket, and that's right. They're not bending the metal for this rocket,
Right.
However, they are designing this rocket.
Sure.
Right. This is a NASA-designed rocket. It's not
Sure
like
is.
other companies are designing this. It is a NASA design, led by congressional requirements. So.
And being tested at their facilities that no one else has.
Correct. So it's being tested at NASA facilities. It's not like NASA is like, go build us a rocket. NASA is
Right.
doing most of the work here. They're just not bending the metal. Right? So to be clear, NASA is building this rocket. They're just not bending its metal, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Jared, I'm sorry.
All right, so comments like this, where it's basically saying that NASA shouldn't be focusing on earth science, it should focus on something else. This is like one of my top pet peeves.
I feel like they are the same thing.
This is one of those things where it's usually prefaced by people saying that the money that NASA gets for earth science should go to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, which does earth science. If that were the case, then NOAA should be getting, budget increases and things like that in order to pull that off. But if you look at the fiscal year 2018 budget coming up, it's going to get completely gutted. So, you can't demand that NASA stop doing earth science and then cut the budget of the group that would do the earth science
Right.
severely in order to do that. You're either going to completely get rid of earth science, which is what not a lot of people are saying, but is what will actually happen if you cut that earth science budget, or you should take that money from NASA and move it over to a group like NOAA in order for them to actually perform the earth science as well. And also, NOAA doesn't necessarily have the expertise for space-based platforms as well that NASA brings to the table. And it's really important that when you launch something to space, it actually works the first time.
Right.
Because it's kind of, at the moment, expensive to do stuff in space. So that's why NOAA works with NASA, and they collaborate together in order to perform the earth sciences that actually occur. It's simply because NASA has that expertise and NOAA doesn't necessarily have the same level of expertise in space-based operations and observation and instrumentation that NASA does. So that's why they work together. So, I mean...
Let me tweak the comment a little bit. Instead of saying
Sure.
not routine earth science, because I don't think earth science is routine yet, right?
Right.
No.
It simply isn't. But there are things like rockets are fairly routine at this point, right? That's not something that back in the early days, NASA was helping to pioneer some of the largest rockets in the world. They were doing things that just had never been done before, and now we're doing it a lot. It's easily done. Private companies are doing it on their own dime. So why does NASA need to continue to do something that private companies can already do? Maybe they shouldn't. Instead of that, instead of building rockets, instead of designing rockets, maybe NASA should focus on the things that we have not figured out. If we want to get to Mars, we don't need just a big, huge rocket, which, by the way, other companies are already figuring out for a lot less money than NASA. But we have not figured out the habitation. We have not figured out the environment and the long-distance journey stuff. There's a lot we don't know. On getting to Mars. Shouldn't NASA, I'm changing the question, shouldn't NASA be focusing on that instead of a big, huge, giant rocket?
Yeah. That would...
And that's what I think the sad part is that NASA does focus on those things, but when you look at the numbers for the budgets, I mean, there was like $30 million allocated for this next year towards special projects like that, and we see, over over 3 billion, almost 4 billion for SLS and Orion combined. So
I think, to be fair, we keep saying NASA's not doing this. It's not NASA's choice either. right?
No, it's not. NASA doesn't want to be doing this either.
Right. So there are a lot of very talented people within NASA that also are like, why is this happening? What's going on here? Their hand is forced. But then you look at other entities like JPL, who's not part of this, and they're just doing incredible, amazing things. So I don't want to. We keep saying NASA, but I don't think that's a really fair statement. A lot of the things that I think we at this table disagree with are congressional mandates forced onto NASA.
Exactly, it's law.
Yeah,
And
it's the law.
and it's one of those things where it is. To put it very bluntly, it is essentially funneling the federal dollars into certain congressional districts.
Which kind of brings us a little bit to the next comment, also off of YouTube from one musky Elon, not to be confused with anyone else. Says, more money flushed down the SLS toilet. Its cost will only go up and up.
Okay, so now this brings us into the cost argument, right?
Sure.
So SLS is very, very expensive. Allow me to flip that around and say, who cares? So what? So it's very, very expensive. We ran those numbers earlier. SLS Block 1 will be the most powerful rocket on the face of the planet today. And there are no rockets being built right now, like none that are near completion, that will be more powerful than SLS Block 1.
Who cares?
Well, SLS Block 1, as Jared mentioned, will open up additional things in space. Our ability
No. It can. That doesn't mean it will. Right now, it doesn't do anything.
Because it's not done.
That's like getting a Labrador Retriever puppy and being like, one day this is going to be a gold medalist winner and it's going to be pedigree and the whole nine. And you're like, it's just a puppy right now. It still has to go through training. It still has to learn the training. Maybe your dog has ADHD and it doesn't want to go through training. And now you have a crap dog. Sorry.
I don't think that's a fair example because you don't know what you're getting with an animal or any sort of living. You don't
right
know
now, I don't know what I'm getting with this rocket either.
You know exactly what you're getting.
I know what I should be getting. I don't know that I am getting
You are getting 70 metric tons to low Earth orbit.
So what payloads are on the manifest for SLS?
Thank you, that's what I'm saying.
Actually, there are Space Mike, did you want to take that?
Yeah, finally there's payloads because there hasn't really been any payloads except for Orion until just recently. And I've brought this up a couple of times in different news segments. Right now, the official plan is setting up the Deep Space Gateway. And the Deep Space Gateway will hopefully have, commercial applications and we'll be able to have international cooperation to go to the moon. But the big thing with this is that the Deep Space Gateway is supposed to be part of our plan to test out those habitat technologies to eventually go to Mars. And there's going to be even another plan
No, these are good things.
I know.
They're kind of good things. It's so frustrating. It's like, well, this is going to be able to do this, which means it could do this, which is supposed to do that, which eventually is going to do this.
But you don't. That's how life is. You have to take these baby steps. You don't just jump to Mars.
Yeah.
You have to learn.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just. I don't know. Keep going. I will stop.
For one of those things, because the whole journey to Mars hasn't really been fleshed out very well. And the whole idea of, well, okay, how exactly are we going to go there? We're going to have a big enough habitat, are we going to have a radiation shield, and all those things that we need in order to actually survive the trip. Well, the whole year in space thing that Mark Kelly and Mikhail, oh gosh, I forgot his last name again, who did the year in space, that's part of this whole study. They're going to send up a large habitat to this Deep Space Gateway, and they're going to do a 1-year study on that, and then they're going to do a 2-year study on that, and they're going to do as many studies as they can with this and missions with this. Whether or not we still go to Mars after this program is up in the air. That's still, as far as I'm concerned, that's still wishful thinking. But at least with stuff like this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen regardless of what the different congressmen want. And we're having international partners who want to be involved with this and are donating money towards this as well. So yes, we're funneling all of this money into this big rocket. But honestly, if not for it being a jobs program and funneling money into all these different congressional districts across the United States, it would not get the support. NASA wouldn't get the money that it's getting now if there wasn't something going into these different districts for these congressmen to have support for it at all. So even though NASA might not want to be doing this rocket, NASA might not have any sort of purpose or any sort of funds if the senators didn't have some sort of payment. I mean, they're not getting payments personally, but payment for their constituents and keeping them happy and having the chances of re-election and all that political mumbo jumbo. So without that congressional support, even though it's something that NASA doesn't exactly want to be doing, it wouldn't happen. And so there's another comment that I want to get to here in a little bit that brings up the idea of whatever NASA does, whether it's a lackluster idea like this or if it's something that's truly inspirational and something that gets the public fired up, how are we going to essentially pay the senators and all these different districts in order to make that happen?
Yeah, so Mikhail Koryenko, as a number of people in the chat room said, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know, it was
Koryenko,
right on
thank
the tip of my tongue as well. Yes. I do want to address Prismara in the chat room says, gotta build the things to build the things to build the things to get somewhere cool. Yes, absolutely. I feel, I guess my differentiation point is it feels as though someone has directed NASA to go on a very long road trip, and they say your destination, you're starting in California and you're ending in New York, and you have stuff ready, go. And whereas if I was going to build my own road trip from California to New York, I would say, okay, I usually have to pee about every 2 to 3 hours, which means I'm going to have to pee this many times. I'm going to get hungry. I probably don't want to drive it the entire way straight. I want to drop off and, take a nap. And I probably want to pick up food, or maybe I want to see friends. Or what are all the things that I want to do or need to do in order to get from California to New York? And also, I don't want to take 20 more years to do it. I want to do it in the next 4 years instead, right? That I have some sort of variation of a plan, and I might deviate from that a little bit, but I don't have to. This just feels like absolutely positively you must stop in Alabama. You must stop in, I can't think of other SLS states right now, but that you have to stop in all of these areas, but that there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's like sometimes you stop in Alabama and then you backtrack, you come back to Colorado, and then you go all the way down to Houston, and then you go up to West Virginia, and it could take 20 freaking
then
years.
You go back to California.
Yes, to get from freaking California to freaking New York, man.
Right.
Like that's the part that's bothering me.
But I think to be fair, I think adding to Space Mike's point, because I think that's a somewhat mixed analogy, but to Space Mike's point, let's just say that we got rid of Space Launch System. I think the fallacy here is, and the assumption that we would make is, oh, well, that frees up those funds for something else. That may not be true.
Yeah.
That frees up those funds to disappear from NASA, is what that does. So, okay, great. So you get rid of Space Launch System. That doesn't mean that NASA continues to get those funds for any of their other programs. That just means that now NASA doesn't get those funds at all.
I suppose, but it's also sort of like high school trying to push through a referendum, and what they really, really want is a new football stadium, but they keep saying, well, the only way we're going to fund the new stadium is if we put the books on the referendum, because the teachers and the parents actually want the books to go, but the school really wants the football stadium because that's how the school gets money.
Sure.
And that feels, I don't know, that feels like it's just crap all the way around, because then we get some books, but we get this fancy new football stadium, and nobody really knows or cares why.
Right, but I think one of the big differences here is if we want to get to Mars, if we want to do big, huge, cool things, we need big, huge, cool rockets. Does anyone disagree with that?
No, I mean, if you're sending stuff to Mars, you need maximum payload capability out of that, especially if you...
70 is not going to be enough. I mean, we need Block 2. We need Block 1B, and we need Block 2 of the Space Launch System. And, right? Feel free to disagree.
No, I agree.
It's going to require a tremendous amount of materials in order to pull
going
it off.
back to your cross-state analogy, I don't think that's quite fair. I think what it is like, all right, I'm starting here in California. I'm going to Antarctica. I'm not allowed to take any roads because I can't be on the main road system. And we don't actually have a path for you to get there. And we don't actually know what the conditions are going to be like when you get there. Great, build a trip, go. That's what it is. We have no idea what Mars is going to be like. We don't know what path we're going to need to be. We don't know what's going to happen to us along the way. We have no idea.
That journey started with 3 boats. It started again with 100 wagons. It started again with 1 Apollo rocket going to the moon.
But we're not done yet. We don't have that data, is my point. We have some of it. We have some of the steps necessary to get to Mars, but we do not have them all.
Yeah.
And so the idea that we can go to the lowest bidder for all of this or just reduce these prices maybe is wrong. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm just throwing that
Yeah.
out there. Maybe this stuff actually does cost a whole lot of money, and maybe doing something that no one has ever done before is really freaking hard and really, really expensive.
Yeah,
And that I could understand for new technologies and new concepts and ideas in order to utilize this mission. But for the Space Launch System, it's reusing hardware that we already know how to build. Sure, there might be a couple upgrades here and there, but it's a cost-plus program. It's encouraged to take as much time as possible. It's encouraged to go over. And when you look at the commercial crew and commercial cargo programs, those were competitive. Those were fixed price contracts, with a little bit of flexibility if there was an actual problem. But even if there was a problem, it was on the company to deliver on their contract and at least hit a specific milestone before they would get paid to continue the funding for their program. And you look at the commercial crew program, we're going to have 2 vehicles that are going to be able to send American astronauts up to the space station for far less money, a tenth of the cost that we've spent on Space Launch System just so far, over as the Space Launch Systems since it was reiterated in 2010. So,
Space Mike, you brought us into the next comment quite
I was
brilliantly.
gonna say. So this one came off of YouTube as well, from a SpaceX fan, actually agreeing with Muskie Elon on that particular case, saying, I agree. They could have funded SpaceX with Mars for less than a quarter of the money that they've wasted already.
All right, then my question is that a true statement? No. And I don't know, right? Can you just take more money and throw it at commercial space programs and get things faster, better, cheaper? Is that how that actually works?
I would say in the case of delivering astronauts and cargo to low Earth orbit, which is something that you could potentially turn into a profitable business.
It's also well-defined and been done for 30 years.
Been done for a very significant amount of time. Yeah, sure, it could work. But doing something that is completely trailblazing, as in going to Mars, I'm not sure that you could actually do something like that for a quarter of the amount, because there's so many unknowns that are involved in that. One of the things that NASA brought up was that they don't have enough money at the moment to currently design an entry, descent, and landing system for Mars. And that's kind of critical when you get to Mars.
Otherwise, you go splat.
Especially because of the fact that whatever we're going to be landing on Mars is going to be, an order of magnitude or 2 orders of magnitude in mass more than what we've landed on Mars is the most payload. I mean, Curiosity is the heaviest thing we've ever landed on Mars. It's just under 1 metric ton. So, I mean, you're not going to send a spacecraft with a person in it to Mars that weighs just under 1 metric ton. It's going to be bigger, way bigger than that. So.
And even in the first official missions, sending humans to Mars are not going to land on the surface. They're just going to orbit and then come back. And they've even adjusted the type of near-Earth asteroid rendezvous with sending astronauts to a small asteroid like that, and readjusting that plan to go and rendezvous with one of the moons of Mars, either Deimos or Phobos. So, those are what's on the official missions so far. They're not even talking about landing on Mars. Not really.
And you're kind of moving that forward a little bit, Dutta. We're going to skip one and move to T5, if you want to do that comment.
Sure.
And that was my favorite comment, too.
No,
Wait, T4 was your favorite comment, or T5?
I also want to get back.
Yeah.
No. I want to get back to T4 as well. So don't forget about that. The one from 5 actually came off of Reddit. Fiduma says, in my opinion, the difference is that the space shuttle developed and tested a lot of new technology and concepts. The SLS, on the other hand, uses mainly old technology while still being very expensive. I have no problem for NASA to spend a lot of money on an expensive program if we gain a lot of knowledge in that program. This is NASA's vision, after all, quote, to reveal the unknown for the benefit of humankind. Unquote. Yeah.
Is that the core of your issue with SLS? Is that it's just kind of like, it's the same old thing and it's stupid expensive and we should already know how to do all of this?
I guess it. I mean, I guess it doesn't speak to me as the new hotness. It doesn't speak to me as something different. It doesn't speak to me.
It's uninspiring?
It's uninspiring. And I there's nothing wrong with going with the tried and trusted true
expendable rocket,
whatever that phraseology is supposed to be. There's nothing wrong with that, and there is something very comforting and comfortable about those sorts of things and those sorts of designs, right? Because you say, yes, I have seen that before. Yes, I know that works. We can go with that. That's totally fine. But there comes a time at some point, and maybe we're not at that point yet, which is a perfectly fine thing, where the tried and true is just what we've always done. And that's not always right or good or best. Just because we've always done it before doesn't mean that that's what we should be doing now. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is the best way to do it. And that's why we continue to do it that way. But that doesn't... Oh, Dada has a rant, apparently.
Makes me think of electricity. Like, we're still using alternating currents, a technology from, almost... I mean, we're getting up there of almost 200-year-old technology here. But so far, until we come up with a better way, that is the best way to do it. So that's fine. But, I think the example that you're trying to get at here is when you see private companies doing cool things. You got SpaceX having reusable rockets. You got ULA wanting to have gas stations in space. You got Blue Origin wanting to do all the things. Shouldn't NASA be working on, like, warp drive or anti-gravity or something crazy like that?
Dada has a rant.
So here's my thing.
Sideways hologram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at the camera, Dada.
Look over here. Okay, so for the Apollo program, President Kennedy said we're going to go to the moon by the end of the decade, and then they had all these problems to solve. If you've watched the From the Earth to the Moon series, or I think it was History Channel had a series called Moon Machines, where they show the development of all of the stuff that they used. All right, so we're going to go to the moon. The goal is going to the moon. Let's design all of the things that we need in order to be able to go to the moon and make them the very best of the technology available to do the thing that you need to do. Not because it's in this particular district. Yes, there's some politics in there, but everything was designed and to function for that singular purpose of going to the moon by the end of the decade and returning men safely to the Earth. And then we lost sight of what we wanted to do. We went into shuttle. Shuttle was supposed to be great. It was supposed to save money. It was supposed to do all these incredible things. Okay, it failed. It fell short. And now we want to go to Mars. Okay, SLS is supposed to do this incredible thing, except it's supposed to use all the old technology from shuttle because we still have some main engines left over. It's supposed to use, solid rocket boosters because Thiokol still has their fingers in congressional pockets or whatever, that they still need money. Let's design the things that we need to design and make them the very best of the technology. Break all the cutting edge if we need to. Make sure that the thing that we're making is the very best that we can possibly make it to do the thing that we're asking it to do. Not because it exists already, but let's make it the very best of humanity. Bring the best of humanity together and let's do the thing. Not done.
Totally agree.
Money. That's why. Right? Back in the Apollo era, it was a Cold War, and we threw a fantastic amount of money at Apollo. And let's be clear, Apollo was split up and built in different districts, specifically so that they could get these things approved. Right? So
Absolutely.
The whole idea
Congress
of us
hated the whole idea.
Whole idea of breaking this up into a whole bunch of different areas and like having it go across the country so you could that started in Apollo, not in Shuttle, right? And then it continued through Shuttle, and it's continuing along through SLS. We're just replaying Apollo here.
And don't bring up that romantic idea as well that the American public was fully behind Apollo as well.
They were not.
Because they sure were not at that time. And I can tell you there were a lot of people that looked at Apollo as an absolute colossal waste of money. And not just after Apollo, but before and during Apollo as well. So it wasn't a particularly popular program initially. It was really after. It was sort of like once you got rid of it, you realized how good it was, I guess. So
because we did the most incredible things humans have ever done, and we have not gone back. No. I mean, what an incredible and an inspiring moment. And I don't think we realized at the time what this money was actually getting us, which was so much more than. And you know what? Hang on. Maybe we can make that exact same argument for Space Launch System. Maybe we just simply, as we're all about commercial space, maybe we don't realize what this money actually is going to get us for Space Launch System. Maybe we just don't see what that future is just yet, just like in Apollo, right? You just didn't see it. You hadn't experienced it yet. You don't know what you don't have yet, right?
There's no deadline to hit.
So what? So what? Maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe what we end up doing is using Space Launch System to create a colony on the moon, which creates this whole inspirational outreach for space, which allows whole other parts of industry to start growing. Maybe not.
So Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, was unable to join us today for some of it being technical reasons on our part, and some of it being he is traveling currently. But he did give me a little bit of a summary of his thoughts and feelings, and we don't have a slate for that. So you're just going to have to awkwardly look at the top of my head.
And imagine this in Everyday Astronaut's voice.
Right. Never do I think it's wise to continue doing something just because you're too deep into it. It's a fallacy. But that being said, we're so close to seeing this beast fly, even if entirely pointless, going literally nowhere and carrying literally nothing. It'd be a huge shame to not see it fly, even if the only reason is to say we can still build Saturn V-sized things again and inspire people to think big. It would be worth it at this point, but our money could probably be better spent in this private sector. Ever the SpaceX fanboy, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut.
All right, I think we're going to kind of wrap up there. You guys wanted to get to T4?
Yeah, Mike and I really liked it.
We'll end on T4. So for those, I'm referencing T4, T5. Those are just internal numbers.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about those.
Although if you're at a particular Patreon level, then you could see our rundown.
That's
know exactly
correct.
what we're talking about.
That's correct. Yeah, actually, I believe it's the orbital level. So our orbital level and above, I believe, can see the rundown. Anyhow, yeah.
So good. We do have a slate for this one, so you don't have to look at the top of my head anymore. Zapfan off of YouTube.
Zapfan.
Oh, I did it that's the wrong way, apparently. It says, and this is an interesting thought. We'll leave you with this, and then I think I can't wait to hear comments about what people think about this. It says, the budget for planetary science looks good, but I suggest scrapping SLS and spending that money on Ocean Worlds program. Maybe a Europa office in Texas, an Ice Giants office in Alabama, a Titan office in Mississippi. Should it be politically feasible, right?
That's why I like this comment. Not because not for any sort of preference for Ocean Worlds program or even canceling SLS, but that's the sort of thinking that I feel like we need to have whenever there's a new program, especially a big program that we want to see happen. We've got to get the political support for it, and maybe ideas like this, even though NASA is already split up all over the country, maybe we need to split it up even more to actually get things to happen. I don't know.
Mike, I can't tell if that's a brilliant idea or a terrible idea.
Right?
Or both. I think it might be somewhere in the middle. I legitimately can't decide.
That is a great awful idea.
When I talk to my representatives and my senators for my state in Arizona, they don't care.
Right.
Like the really local guys, they care about like what Orbital ATK is doing because we have a lot of offices here. But otherwise, they don't care what's going on. I'm like, oh, you really need to vote for this when it comes up for the space program. And they're just like, yeah, maybe. Non-committal because I don't care and there's no money coming into our state from that, so why should I vote for that? That's just more money going into other states. So.
Yeah, and sort of on the flip side of that, here in the Los Angeles area, because we are such a central hub of aerospace, not just in the United States, but in the entire world, with things like JPL based out of here, SpaceX based out of here, lots of
Mastin,
Virgin, Boeing. You can't forget even the big companies: Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon.
Apollo was built here. Shuttle was built here.
Yeah. Whenever you talk to our representatives,
everyone at the aerospace games right now.
Yeah. A lot of the representatives here in the Los Angeles area are always like, "Heck yeah, we're voting yes on this because we need to continue.
Awesome
we need to continue the leadership of not just the Los Angeles area, but California as well in the United States. We look at ourselves as a very critical portion of making that happen. So it's like completely opposite here in the Los Angeles area. So
now before
they may not even care about the program itself, but what they care about is the prestige and the money that brings their state.
Yeah, because I can tell you there is a little bit of a scuffle, if you will, between the city of La Cañada Flint Ridge and Pasadena as to who JPL actually belongs to. So, and they if you can get a couple people to get very close to fisticuffs over something like that. So.
I think that's the first time fisticuffs has been used on the show.
There you go. Here's your word of the week.
Before we go into break, I did want to remind everyone, this is a very passionate topic, and we do have 5 rules at tomorrow. But the key rule here for this show is going to be debate the idea and not the person. So there are going to be a lot of opposing views on Space Launch System and the politics involved, and that's okay. That makes it fun and interesting. You, as the community of tomorrow, are historically very, very good at this, and I just want to, for anyone who's new to the community, feel free to debate the ideas behind Space Launch System, the ideas behind the politics, but don't call out specific people and call them stupid. Don't do name calling. None of that. That's beneath us here at tomorrow. So you can debate the idea, but don't take personal attacks on people themselves. It's absolutely against our rules, and we will moderate those comments out. But debate the idea all day long. Agree, disagree, that's totally cool. Do this on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, wherever you want. Please continue this conversation, because we haven't had one of these roundtables in a while, and I don't know about you guys, I had a lot of fun. I thought it was really interesting.
Me too.
I was playing devil's advocate on a lot of that, just to keep some of the conversation going. So that may or may not be some of my opinions on those topics. I'll let you figure out some of that. But I'm excited to do more of these. And speaking of, one of the reward levels at Orbital, I believe, and above, is that you can actually vote on some of the upcoming topics for these roundtable discussions. We'll have one every time there are 5 shows in a month. So, all right, that's going to wrap up the roundtable discussion. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I think it was a lot of fun. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, comments from our last week's show. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We've always looked to the stars. They guide us, give us comfort, help us find our way. We see ourselves out there. When we look up, it inspires us. And we long for something we don't yet know. We yearn to go there. So, we venture forth.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize a measure the best of our energies and skills.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. It's one small step for man.
The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not.
Many think we stopped exploring. But we know our journey didn't end. We've only just begun.
Orion is functioning perfectly at this point.
Come with us and explore tomorrow.
It that way. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
it is absolutely a planet.
It is not a planet.
It is absolutely a planet.
No, it is not. It's a dwarf planet.
It is not. No, Space Launch System is a planet.
No, it is not. It is a dwarf planet.
No, Marty the Martian in the chat room figured it out during the break. Ben's true opinion: Space Launch System is a planet.
No, it's not. It's not a planet. It's a dwarf planet. It has not cleared out its congressional neighborhood.
It's got fire, guys. It's a star. Come on.
Thank you, Marty the Martian, for a great deal of fun during the break. Yes. That was awesome. This is why we love our live chat room. We also love our patrons of tomorrow who have helped to make this specific segment of this episode happen. These are people, you like that transition? These are people who've contributed $10 or more. Of course, they've got new rewards. We've got our orbital patrons. These are people who've contributed $5 or more. And they also have new rewards because everyone gets new rewards. And then we've got suborbital. These are people who've contributed $2.50 or more. And they also get their name in the show. And what is the suborbital new reward? Oh, yeah, that's right. They get access to the rundown as well. Right? Nice. So everyone, you know, if you're suborbital above, you actually get to see the show. To find out more, the craziness as it happens. To find out more information on how you can help crowdfund the shows tomorrow, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. This show is running super long, so let's get into those comments straight away. Capcom.
All right, so previous show topic, in case you weren't with us, was Adrian Times, who's the CEO of Cube Cab, not to be confused with Cute Cab, which I don't know what that is, but
Or
now I
Cab
want
Cube.
one. Okay, so really quickly, we did actually have some really great comments in the chat room
Oh, yeah.
from last week.
So we're doing something new.
So we are doing something new. So there's a couple. These might feel a little disconnected. I apologize for that part of it. Hopefully, me and the crew will understand what these are in reference to, so we can actually go back and answer them. So first off, from the IRC was Emil says, "Isn't the Dream Chaser about 1/16 the size of STS?"
Of the Space Transportation System, the shuttle.
the shuttle.
Is it 1/16th? It's smaller. It's
It is
definitely
smaller.
smaller. Is it that small?
It's about 1/5.
That makes
in
more
size.
sense. Yeah.
So yeah, about
1/16th
1/5.
would be not. I mean, pretty tiny.
So, yeah.
I mean, the orbiter's big, but it's not that big.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, school bus and a half big. It's not like.
But it is, and I'm actually a huge Dream Chaser
Well,
fan.
he did say STS. Maybe he means the whole shuttle stack.
Still not. I mean, yeah. So the booster it did extend past, but I still not buying that. It's still 1/16.
Not
I
quite
feel like 1/16 the size
even,
like this
even
big.
that way.
Right.
Yeah, 1/16 the size of the shuttle stack would be something like 12 feet long.
Yeah, that's
So.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not a clown car.
Okay. That's good.
Oh my God! Now I want to see that.
Right?
There's a video there. All right,
There-
next
there
up,
is.
Capcom.
Also from the IRC, Space Kyle says, "Did Lisa Pathfinder detect any gravitational waves during the test, or was it too small?"
Bam.
All right, so Lisa Pathfinder, or should I do it over here?
Yeah, oh, you have your own camera. Look at that.
So, Lisa Pathfinder was not actually designed to detect gravitational waves. In order to detect gravitational waves, you have to have detectors at very long distances away from each other. Now, at the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, boom, called LIGO here on Earth, those beams, they actually...
That was amazing.
They bounce
really good.
back and forth down very long tubes to make roughly about 100 kilometers in length. So you need a bit of distance in order to actually be able to detect gravitational waves. So Lisa Pathfinder was just simply, can we actually use the systems that we want to use on the Lisa E mission, and will they actually work in space? That's basically what Lisa Pathfinder was all about. It wasn't about actually finding gravitational waves. It was just saying, hey, these concepts that we need to work in order for that big Lisa mission to actually work, yeah, they actually do work in space. So yeah, very, very cool.
Wow, look at that.
Boom.
Bam.
Boom.
Got your question answered. Cool. Probably not watching. Next comment, also from the IRC, from Apollonio, I believe. Is there an agency managing or granting licenses for CubeSat launches? I guess kind of like
Yes,
the
there is.
FAA, or is it actually the FAA?
Yeah, it's the FAA. At least here in the United States. I don't know what it is in other countries. But if you're from another country and you want to get your CubeSat launched from the ISS, then you still need your FAA certification.
Interesting. All right. Interesting. Wow. And we have Anonymous Giraffe and Anonymous Bat.
Just put your transmitter up on the table. You sound like you're underwater.
All right.
There we go.
Are you swimming?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
I thought we were losing the
Blah, blah,
connection.
blah, blah, blah.
All right.
Real-time tech support. That's how that works.
Yay.
All right.
Okay. Great. So I think that was everything from IRC. Next, we can move on to Reddit from Destructor1701. Says, what satellite roles cannot be miniaturized? What are the hard physical limits on the potential roles of cube and small sats?
Back to the paradynamicist, I
Yeah.
think, for that one.
Yeah,
Oh, you've
so
got- there you
yeah,
go.
I guess I should go to the camera again.
There you go.
Things that are like imaging systems that aren't looking in visible light, like infrared, where you actually need to cool the sensor and have a system on, or basically a whole bunch of coolant on board to actually cool the sensor. Something like that would probably be what you couldn't miniaturize initially. So in the future, we may be able to miniaturize it, but for now, it's kind of this, imaging systems and stuff, especially non-visible light imaging systems. So things like looking in ultraviolet, especially X-ray and infrared, very difficult to actually miniaturize and work with systems like that in very, very small areas. So, but maybe in the future, someone will be able to do it. Maybe if you throw enough money at it, you can make it happen.
I mean, heck, we miniaturized the Apollo computers into something the size of your phone. Something that used to take a building is now in the size of your phone, and that everyone carries with them. So I can totally see a future where
That'd be sweet. I mean, you could purchase little FLIR cameras that are able to operate through your smartphone.
Those are
nowadays.
infrared.
But
Thermal infrared.
but
For those who don't know.
But we obviously we can't have the resolution and the refinement of a space-based infrared system that small. It's a little difficult at the moment. It's a little difficult. So.
Also, yeah, the cooling of those cameras is pretty insane.
Yeah.
All right, and I think finally.
Yeah, last comment comes off of YouTube from one Ryan Scott. Says, while the concept of CubeCab is great to further open up the access to space, Adrian's attitude towards some of the problems and company projections seems somewhat short-sighted. Specifically, his response to contributing to space debris, which from my understanding is a bigger concern than he made it out to be.
So I'm going to agree and disagree. So here is one of those common maps. This shows the current space debris around the Earth. And so you can very easily look at that and go, oh my God, that is a problem. And it is.
What a mess.
What a mess. And as you got this debris up there, it's traveling to like between 17,000 and 22,000 miles per hour. You know, having a collision with that, if you're not at its relative speed, even a very small part of that space debris is very, very bad. What they don't remember to tell you on these graphs is that is not actual, that's not to size. That's not its relative size.
Not to scale.
Not to scale. So let's go ahead and show the map of that same thing to scale. Suddenly it's all gone. That's because you know, it's the distance. They're tiny, and the distances involved are huge. So if we just let cascading failures happen and we don't do anything about it, yeah, space debris is going to be an issue. But a lot of the things that we're putting up there will decay back into the Earth's atmosphere fairly quickly, within a couple of months. Now, things like rocket second stages, where they're going out to GTO, that decay time is substantially longer, but almost all rocket companies will actually safe that stage and send it back on a controlled deorbit. We know exactly where it's at. It's purposely going to crash back into the ocean. So yes, there is a potential problem with space debris, but I think that it's one of those things that's kind of being blown out of proportion, because we see that first graph and we look at that and we go, oh, this is a huge, huge problem. Oh my gosh, look at all this debris. When in reality, so long as we're not dumb about it moving forward, we'll be okay. And these little itty bitty little things, they're not going up that high. They're not doing that much, and they're going to fall back down to Earth, I believe, in days. Right? It's not even weeks, right?
Yeah.
I think we're generally
specifically for CubeCab, for the low Earth orbit stuff that they're talking about. Yeah, it would be weeks, months. You know, for a lot of these CubeSats that they're talking
tops,
about.
Right? I mean,
tops for the high apogee ones.
Oh yeah.
Also, the time
still low Earth orbit.
Yeah, the time spent in low Earth orbit by an object as well is also dependent upon the sun as well, because when the sun gets into its solar maximum phases, the energy being generated by that actually excites the Earth's atmosphere and extends it out a little bit further. Specifically, the exosphere goes out a little bit further, and that creates additional drag as well. Good way to look at that, if you actually look at the station keeping that had to be done on the International Space Station, you can actually look at the number of times it's happened, and you can figure out when the sun has been at solar max, dependent upon that. So, which the last one was about 17 years ago, which is very confusing for us, but that's for a whole nother episode. So.
Aerospike has a really great comment before we go and do a break, which is space debris is like sharks in the ocean. It's still safe to go swimming. So yeah, again, we don't want to be dumb about it, right? We don't want to just randomly put space debris up there. And it's also not like a single piece of space debris is going to destroy a spacecraft. It all depends on that relative velocity. If the relative velocity is very, 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 very similar to each other, then even though you're both traveling at, say, 22,000 miles per hour, you know, it's just like a bink, and it's not a big deal. It's that if there's a very large difference in that relative velocity, if they're traveling at different speeds and collide at those larger speeds, that's when bad things can happen.
It's very bad things.
Absolutely. All right. That is our show this week. I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching, including our ground support patrons. These are people who've contributed between 1 penny and $2.59. There is a little bit of confusion. So there is a legacy grandfathered account, which is between 1 penny and $1, and the current ground support patrons are $1 to $2.49. If you subscribe today, you have to subscribe at $1 or more. That's not our choice. That's something Patreon kind of forced onto us. They won't let you subscribe at 1 penny anymore. If I could enable 1 penny, I totally would. But those who subscribe between 1 penny and 99 cents, there are no new rewards for that level. That is the old, I forgot, it's not producers, it's whatever that old reward level is. You're kind of grandfathered into ground support, but anyone that's at the true ground support level that signed up as ground support and is marked as ground support in Patreon, you also have new rewards as well, and those are
Early dark access.
Oh, that's
Early
right.
dark
We
access?
started giving you access to After Dark, so we've extended After Dark over to you as well as your name of the show. So again, patreon.com/TMRO for all those different reward levels. Next week, we've got Randra Millerin, CEO of Interorbital Systems. I said that right, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. CEO of Interorbital Systems. It's a rocket, satellite, and spacecraft manufacturing company. That's going to be a lot of fun, kind of continuing that new space venture. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, they're also involved with the Google Lunar X Prize from one of the remaining teams, so very anxious to hear what they have to say.
Absolutely. It's coming up next week. For those of you watching live, we were going to do we were not going to do After Dark this week. We were going to do a hangout, but the show went extremely long. We had some technical issues, and I didn't give you guys enough heads up on the hangout. So I think what we're going to do is a condensed After Dark this week, and I will reschedule the hangout for our patrons sometime very, very soon, so you don't have to wait too much longer. So we will make that happen, but for those of you watching live, a very, very short After Dark is up next.
Every time.
I can see the blood rushing and like getting stuck in your face. Did we like that show? Was that all right? It was super duper long. Were you guys okay with that? Okay, I mean, he still
It
clap,
was just
clap,
long because
clap.
of all of our technical difficulties.
Well, it was long because of technical difficulties, but even with the technical difficulties, I still think that was a 90-plus minute show.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? We don't have to do.
We don't have to do an open. Yay!
I will say I really like that. For not only do we not have to do an open, which is fine. I just thought it was a lot more personable. I thought it was a lot more like it was just more of an interesting intro into the show. I think it worked a lot better. Personally, I was. That's actually all you. That was basically your idea of like swapping that out. I'm very, very
I
happy.
have ideas.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy with how that's turning out.
I have ideas sometimes.
Yeah, so Green Jim 2 says, or LL, I suppose, says super duper long is fine with great content. I agree, as long as it was great content. Hopefully you guys thought it was exciting and great content the entire time. Yeah. Aerospike, I loved it and I hate everything. Yeah.
I need some shapes.
Oh my God,
shapes?
some shapes.
I know it's
Pizza
after
shapes.
dark.
Pizza shapes.
You want some pizza shapes, Dada?
Oh my God.
I'm also getting my chocolate balls that I like as well. So.
Yeah, so one of the things, we'll just talk, I'll do some of the stuff I was going to talk about in the
Have some
Patreon
pizza shapes,
hangout.
Dada.
I feel like I failed with the Patreon hangout because I kind of mentioned it in the last show, and that was the only time we mentioned it. I didn't post it on Patreon. I didn't do much of anything, but we did do a bunch of stuff on Patreon to like enhance the reward levels, give new people access to new things, create new, more reasonable goals. We do now have a $1,500 goal, stuff like that. So we're trying to make it like not these huge, hard to reach goals. We'll have some of those as well, but a few more realistic things. So definitely, if you haven't already, head on over to patreon.com. And I'm really excited for the YouTube goal. Those viewers do help us quite a bit. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, it doesn't cost you anything. If you know people that are space nerds, have them subscribe. It doesn't cost them anything. And don't cheat. Don't make it a bunch of bots. That's not fair. And then we'll start shirts. I think that'll be kind of cool.
I'll open it.
Are you really going to eat on air?
Yeah.
Oh,
I would love to have it tomorrow.
never mind then.
Yeah, sorry for the bandwidth issues, but we paused the show and restarted, so hopefully that was acceptable. Rule number 1, Jared.
What was that?
Oh my God.
That was good. Where'd that roll to?
I have no idea. This is how we get
This is how we get ants. In fact, allow me to show because of things like that.
Uh-oh.
I cleaned it up.
Where'd I put it?
For the love of all things holy, mute your frickin' mic. Thank you. I love you, but the sound of you eating directly into my ear.
That's my shtick, though.
Yeah.
It's your MO.
It's what we're gonna stick you in the neck for.
There.
Oh man. A couple
Don't
people have
eat
been
this.
asking in the chat room if I'm going to be covering the Japanese Momo launch, and normally I don't really talk about suborbital launches unless there's something like special about them. And I mean, I guess this is special since it's a private Japanese company who's doing this, but I don't know. I personally feel whatever about it. That's cool. Now, if you can get that suborbital rocket that the Japanese are working on at JAXA to actually go orbital, now that's something cool to talk about. But, I don't know. It's cool.
I just realized that Colt in the chat room, he has the Twitch thing, and now it actually builds the graphic correctly from the people in Twitch.
Nice.
So this is pretty cool, actually. I'm digging how, okay.
There it is.
You know, just press all the buttons, Dada. One of them will get you there eventually. Yeah, there you go. Just keep randomly pressing things. That's good. That's good. Thanks, Dada.
I love Space Vogel's comment. Small rockets are rockets, too.
Aww.
Uh-oh, you guys want a kitten? All right.
No, that was from Lur.
Let's see.
These are not American snack boxes. These are, you can bring out the kitten. These are Aussie snack boxes. These are, what do we have? We have
You're
pizza.
laughing. Nothing's even happened yet.
Got,
Are you pre-laughing?
Yes.
Look at this.
He's gonna
Got
die.
chicken shapes.
They're not
They're
even
not
in the
shaped
shape
like
of
chickens,
chicken.
though.
And then we've got these are pizza in the shape
But
of a
those
coffin.
are not. Those aren't pizza shaped.
Good day, mates. Do you have some shapes?
I totally disagree with this one.
I'm sorry, Lisa's right. They're from Straya. They're not from Australia. They're from Straya. I turn off my mic.
Thank you.
Turn off my mic.
That camera's like snack
For the
time with Darren.
frickin' love of all things. Sadly, so I'm sure that this will get lots of comments. I'm not super worried about, but I only managed to grab one from IRC for next week.
Huh. Well, we have a log.
Yeah. If you guys are in a food fight right now, you'd literally be throwing shapes.
That's amazing.
Oh, listen to you. You're so pathetic, buddy.
Oh my God, so what is happening? Jesus, don't look.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy,
Jared's
it's okay.
going to
It's
die.
okay.
This is
All
not
right,
good.
let's see here.
The glasses are already off. He hasn't even seen anything yet. Which is probably
We
for
heard
the
him,
best
didn't
all
we?
in all.
Oh my
All
God, that
right,
is adorable.
so there's Kitty. There's Kitty Cat.
Oh.
Look at the camera, Kitty Cat. I don't want it.
Kitty's like, I will look anywhere but the camera.
Mwah. Look at you, you little monster. Oh, you want up too? Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy.
Oh man.
Come on up.
So then we get the pug. If you put the cat on the pug, I think we officially kill Jared.
Oh,
Debate the
something
idea,
like
not
this.
the source of the food fight. I'm debating the freaking food, not even the food fight.
Is he seeing this right now? Oh, tankers. Oh, tankers. Whoa, careful. Hey, careful. Stop.
What is happening?
Are you okay?
World star.
You okay, buddy?
Oh.
You're okay. You're okay. He jumped off and got tangled up in a cord. But he's fine, though. He was just scared. You're okay, aren't you, buddy? Come here, buddy.
Oh man.
You okay? Yeah, you're okay. You're okay. Boy, that scared me. I'm sure it scared all of you guys, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all like, what? What the what? What's going on over there?
Prismara, I apologize for my part in this. It's funny.
I just lost my pack.
No, Neuropilot, I know. I'm more just giving you trouble than anything.
A well-fed Jared can survive cat apocalypse.
Oh, good.
The cat pugalypse.
Destructor 1701. This After Dark is an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it is.
Sure is. Hey, it's okay, buddy. Come here. Come back. It's all right. Sure
See, I told you Space Kyle wasn't watching you guys.
You guys?
Space Kyle's gonna be mad at me now.
Finally
Be like,
back in
I
chat.
couldn't get into chat. I know. Sorry.
Hey, Space Mike, what is the
What's the kitten's
tarantula one? What's the
name?
kitten's name?
So, I mean, it responds to kitty cat. At first, I thought about calling it something like Leo or something like that, but then I thought of like using either of the names from Jungle Book, either Shere Khan or Bagheera. But the name that the roommates like is Knuckles because he bites on our knuckles all the time and scratches us up all the time. In fact, I don't know if you guys can see that big cut that I have right here across my arm.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And on the other side, I don't know if you can't really see it on the other side, but yeah, I'm cut up all over, and like my hands, like if you look closely, I got like cuts and scrapes all over.
Oh my God, the kitty on your shoulder is just like, I'm a kitty and I'm on your shoulder. I'll be right here, kid
God,
things.
so cute.
Yeah, that's how he likes hanging out. Well,
Guys,
quite
yeah.
often where we're just chilling.
You could call it Space Vid Cat.
Space Big Cat.
Space Big Cat. Oh, buddy. What's up? You want to go down? Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Uh-oh, did we lose a Jared? Is he okay?
Oh yeah, you basically destroyed Jared.
I needed a battery, so
Okay.
I like could not hear anything for the past 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, I'm turning red.
Space Big Cat.
Your mic's not on still.
Oh, sorry.
Your mic is off.
Sorry, I was eating.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go right back to eating, so I will turn my microphone
My
off.
pack is red. I'll probably lose hearing soon.
I'm green.
Of course you are.
Oh,
Mommy, that was a hilarious puppy, and that was a hilarious kitty. Aww.
That's so funny.
give naming rights to someone in the community.
There you go.
That always ends well. When you have an internet contest for naming rights, you never end up with something like Bodie McBoatface.
Kitty catfish.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
well.
Oops. Well, Tarantula says Space Vid Cat is best, although Dan DC24 says Vintage Space named cat Pete Conrad after Apollo 12 commander. You can do better, Mike. Space Vid Cat is pretty good, though.
Space Vid Cat's pretty good. I like that.
There's Kitten McKittenface and Catty. Well, I suppose it would be Kitty McKittenface, and then as it grows up, it'd become Catty McCatface.
Well, I was just fine calling it, first name Kitty, last name Cat, because, what's his name? John Wayne, all of his dogs were just dog.
Nice.
Dog.
Oh, you know what? Actually, so our lead chef in my department, he has 5 children, 4 of which are girls. So he has 1 son, and then they got a male dog, and he named the dog Dude. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's just like, come here, dude. Come on, dude. Let's go, dude.
Later, dude.
Pretty much. Which I thought was funny.
Dude, not on my leg.
You going for my water there, Kitty? Yep.
Kitty, Mega Strain wants to call it Kitty Space Program or KSP.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's not like cats answer when you call them, so it doesn't matter.
you know what? We used to say that. Is it a male cat?
It is, yes.
Yeah, so male cats have a tendency to be a little bit more affectionate and much more like a dog would be. We had a male cat that would sit by the door. It knew when Ben was coming home. And would sit by the
fang my
door
face.
and wait for Ben. Or if he heard the door open and knew it was Ben, he'd come running out of a different room looking for him.
Minnesota says Tesla. Name it Tesla so you can say you have a Tesla.
He doesn't take me anywhere.
Right?
Yeah, he's already integrated with the other dogs. It's great.
My
sure.
Tesla
That's kinda
pooped
like
everywhere today.
My Tesla threw up in my shoes.
Destructor 1701.
Oh, short for triboclonification. That's hard to say.
Oh my God, that's from To Wicked. or just wicked?
Ah, what are you doing? Stop it.
Oh,
Quit
man.
using my stuff, dude. Kitty cat. Gosh, gotta put away all my pins.
Oh, and Ben gets nothing. I'm sorry, Ben.
But
Oh
yeah,
my
he's
God.
already he's already started to like fight with the dogs and stuff like that. Like Tankers can be pretty annoying. He's like any pug where it barks at anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so there'll be times where like he'll start barking, the kitty will just come up and just be like, "Ah, shut up!" And we'll be like, "Oh, what was that for?"
Oh, Felix.
But then on the same time, though, the cat will try to eat Tanker's food, and when it does, Tankers is just like, "Arr, arr," chases him away. It's funny.
That's fine.
So funny. The big dog, though, Chuck, who you guys have never seen, he's camera shy. He's the dangerous one. Yeah, I wanted to call him Shere Khan, so I could call him Khan. You peed everywhere.
Oh, this is a good one, Dan DC.
Cadmium.
Cadmium.
That's
Named after science.
That's good.
I like that one. That was my favorite thus far. Thus far. Yeah. Words.
You doing hurt there, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
I did like where is it? So Shaky, I brought this one up earlier, but Shaky said, how many kittens would SLS launch to Leo? That just reminds me of there's like a rocket, like an SLS launch that's like launching cows or something like that, and they're all just splatting. Elephants, that's the one. And they're all just splatting on the ground. It's so terrible. It's so awful.
Yeah, I think it'd be better if they like bounced.
So-
Some of them did.
Well, I know, but
So Quarkspin on Twitter and I have this running joke that, you know, everybody measures things in different units. And so we can continually add more units to things. So when the elephants video came up, it was hilarious that we shared it between each other.
I just clicked on the link. Not that anyone else can see it, but I see the initial loading screen and it just makes me chortle. see, they bounce.
it's like a bloody pile. It's so gross. It's so unnecessary to have that like that. Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, it's so awful. Oh
man.
Oh, Mini Stoge, are you still doing the survey? That that did not.
Oh yeah, where can people vote on topics?
That did not wrap well. So Patreon has a voting capability. So next time we have a show coming up, it will be added on Patreon as a poll for all of the patrons at the level and above that are eligible for said poll. So that'd be kind of cool.
And are we only voting? We're just voting on roundtables.
Yeah, just on roundtables, right? Because we're bringing in guests, and you can't really vote on a guest because it's dependent upon the guest schedule. And if you only knew the shenanigans that go on behind the scenes to work out the calendar, I think
Or
Dennis
not.
knows some of them. Yeah. So anyhow, there's no way we could just vote on that. But certainly the roundtables, yeah, we'll give you voting rights on that. See what you guys want to do. Let's not do that. All right, are we finishing up after dark?
I think so. Yeah, he's
I don't
just
think so.
eating.
Pretty tired.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Space Mike. You did great. Jared, you did great. Carrie Ann, you did great. I'm messing with the. I shouldn't.
Been a great show.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really fantastic. Everyone had their media in early. It was a lot of fun. So thank you, everyone, for making that happen. I wonder what happens if I do an emoji. The Casper client does not support emoji. All right. Thank you, everyone. We will see you guys next week.
Need some more chocolate.
Bye.